and I'm here with my January wrap-up and my February TBR. I finished 6 books in January, and I started on a novella, which I didn't finish. I'll be finishing that here in February. And I have 19 other books that I have chosen to try to read in February. They're very small books. I'm just trying to kick a bunch of books out of my TBR shelves. So let's get started with my January wrap-up. First, we have The Luxe Beginnings, which by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which is actually 2 books. It includes Obsidian and Onyx, the first 2 books in the Luxe series. And I'm not going to talk too much about this because I'm going to do a review on the whole series whenever I get finished with that, and I'll tell you about that at the end here. Now, my next 2 books are actually in the Luxe Consequences, which are Opal and Origin, and this is books 3 and 4 in the Luxe series. Now, the next book I read in the middle of reading book 5 of the Luxe series, and this is Buttonbox Adventures for the Love of Trees by Deborah A. Fristic? Not sure how you say that. I have already filmed a review for this. I got this through Goodreads in their First Reads program, one of their giveaways. I've already put a review on the Goodreads website, and I will be posting a video review here on my channel. Now, the last book I read was Opposition. Is the 5th book in the Luxe series, and this book also includes the novella Shadows, which I haven't finished yet. Like, I'm so close to being finished, but haven't finished yet, not including it in the January wrap-up. I still have, let's see, I read the last couple days, so if I'm not counting what I read those days, I still had about 100 or so pages left of this at the end of January. And so this is Shadows, is my first book on my TBR for February. Okay, starting with the books that I have already read, so they're rereads for me. We have The Giver by Lois Lowry, and I read this back in high school, I think. And I think almost everybody's probably read this book, but I'm trying to do reviews for my Goodreads and reviews for videos here on YouTube, so I'm doing rereads of some books that it's been years since I've read them. The next book is Summer of My German Soldier, which is another book that I read in high school, and it is by Bet Green. The next book is Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I love this cover. Let's see if I can get it to not glare. I love that cover. I actually got rid of a copy that I had before because I found this cover, and oh my goodness. It's all kind of like apocalyptic looking. This one I am really sad because I lost my original copy of it and I couldn't find a new copy anywhere. I ended up getting a library copy, which I'm very upset over. It's not the same cover. It's got all these library stickers all over it. It makes me so sad because this is one of my favorite books. It's the 3 MBs of JD, or the 3 Notebooks of Julian Drew, and it's by James M. Dean. Now this book is a little hard to read because everything's abbreviated. Like, first page, like there's not much. So this is going to be a fast read, but this is one of my favorite books. I read this in junior high. This was one of the first books that I bought for myself, and I love it, and I want to reread it so I can do justice for the review. The next book I have is Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, and I read this in high school, and I don't remember if I got to actually read all of it or not. It's kind of saying something because it's so small, but we were only allowed to read the books in class. We were not allowed to borrow the books, and we only had 3 days of class that we were allowed to read them, and we also had projects that we were doing on those days, so we didn't even have the whole class period to be able to read. But I don't remember if I actually got to read all of it. I have seen the movie, but I want to reread this so I can review it. And the last book of my rereads for February is Shiloh by Phyllis Reynolds Mailer. And yes, this is the original book that I had whenever I was younger. Like, it has seen so many better days. Like, poor book. But I'm going to reread this as well. Okay, on to my February TBRs that I have not read yet. This one I've tried to read, but got about a third of the way through. So I probably need to reread it from the beginning. But it is The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. And I don't know why I've never read this before. I mean, other than, like I said, I tried reading it last year and I only got a third of the way through it. Now this next one is That Was Then, This Is Now by S.E. Hinton. And this is another book that was turned into a movie, and I've seen the movie and I love it, and I just happen to have the book, so I'm going to try to read that. Now this is another book that was a movie was based on. It's Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. Yes, Babbitt. And again, like I said, this is another book that was turned into a movie, and I love the movie, so I'm going to try to read the book. And the next book I have is Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. And like I said, these are books that they're just small books. I'm trying to get as many out of my TBR as I can this month. So I picked a bunch of small books. The next book is Strangely Enough by C.B. Colby. And it says Phantom Ships, Ghostly People, A Vanishing City, Lost Treasure. So it just sounded interesting. I think I've actually had this since I was in junior high or high school, and I've never read this, so this has been on my shelf for a long time. The next one I have is Number of the Stars, another book by Lois Lowry, and I think I actually got this from my sister. I'm not sure, I think she had this, but it doesn't look like she read it because she literally devours books. Like, she tears them apart. I think that's what happened to my Shiloh. I think my sister read that. But Number of the Stars by Lois Lowry is also on my list for February. The next book I have is A Circle of Children by Mary McCracken, and I remember that I picked this up, I think, at a thrift store or a yard sale, and I thought it was interesting. I think it was only like 25 cents or something, so I don't even remember what it's about, but I guess I should find out this month, and I will do a review and let you know more about it. The next book I got, I think I've read this before, but I don't remember anything about it. And I think I got this back in junior high, like whenever I got the 3 notebooks of Julian Drew. And it's The Last Lullaby by Jessie Osborne. Actually, I think I'm pretty sure that I've already read this, so this should be in my rereads pile. But like I said, I don't remember anything about it, so yep, going to reread this. The next book I have is Strange But True, 22 Amazing Stories by Donald J. Sobol. It's S-O-B-O-L. Not sure how you really say that. But it's got 22 stories in this itty bitty little book. Now the next book I have is The Pigman by Paul Zindel, and I think we started reading this whenever I was in school, and we had a bunch of snow days and ended up having to miss school, and we ended up only reading this for like one day. And it was another one that they wouldn't let us take out of class, so I never got to read it. Like I said, we had projects that we were doing, so I didn't get to read this very much. I bought my own copy so I could actually try to read it, because if I remember right, when I was reading it, the few pages that I did get to read, I really enjoyed. So I'm hoping to get to actually read this. The next book I have, actually I think is more of a short story. And I got this because my boyfriend said that I had to read it. And it's The Call of Cthulhu by H.P. Lovecraft. I don't know if I'm saying Cthulhu, but he said that I had to read it, so I got the book, and it's teeny tiny, like that's all there is to it, and I'm gonna try to read that this month. The next book I have is Bridge to Terabithia by Catherine, I think it's Paterson. But like I said, I've seen the movie, I love the movie, want to read the book. And this last book I think my mom gave me, and it's called The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I have no idea. You figure that one out. And it's a new translation of the beloved classic with restored original art. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that my mom gave me this one, and I just haven't read it yet. She went to school to be elementary through junior high teacher, and so she reads a lot of children's books, and when she finds one that's really interesting, she usually passes it on to me. So I'm gonna get to check this one out. And I can try to lift my TBR up so you can see. It's not very big. I'm not going to lift up the Lux book, but this, it's all those little books. It's 19 books here. 19 books is a lot, but doesn't really look like much. Like I said, I'm not lifting the Lux book too because it's only a very small part of it that I'm reading in February. But that's my January wrap-up and my February TBR, and I will be back with another video.